You thought you beat the system. You figure out a way to run Cyberpunk on a basic work laptop without spending 2 grand on a graphics card. And honestly, you're feeling pretty smart. But the second you actually boot up a cloud gaming service, reality hits. You didn't solve your hardware problems, you just traded them for a completely different nightmare. Here are the harsh realities you're going to realize as soon as you switch to cloud gaming. Number 1. Your fast internet isn't enough. Most people go into this with a totally false sense of security. You can run a quick speed test, you see 300 megabits per second and you think you are golden. Netflix loads instantly, YouTube plays in 4K, so streaming a game should be perfectly fine, right? No. The second you try to play anything that requires a fast reaction, you realize that downloading a video and streaming real-time inputs are two completely different things. When you watch YouTube, your computer downloads chunks of the video ahead of its time. If your internet stutters for a second, it literally doesn't matter because it's already buffered. But cloud gaming cannot buffer. When you click your mouse to shoot, that signal has to leave your house, hit a server rack halfway across the country, render the frame, and send that video feed all the way back to your monitor. So if your Wi-Fi drops even a packet of data during that trip, your game freezes. The resolution drops to a blurry mess, or your character just walks straight off the cliff. You realize quickly that your high download speeds mean nothing if your connection isn't perfectly stable. Honestly, unless you're physically hardwired into your router with an Ethernet cable, you are going to feel this frustrating delay. You're no longer just fighting the guys in the lobby, you're fighting your own local internet. Number 2. The YouTube video comparison. So, they sold you on the dream of playing in full 4K at 60 frames per second. You think you're going to get that crystal clear, mind-blowing visuals on your regular old laptop. But the reality is a little different. Playing a game on the cloud looks exactly like watching slightly compressed YouTube stream of someone else playing. Because honestly, that's exactly what it is. The server is working incredibly hard to compress a massive real-time video feed so it can actually fit through your internet pipe without lagging. In bright slow-moving scenes, it actually looks pretty decent. You might even forget you're streaming for a minute. But the second you walk into a dark room in the game or you flick your camera really fast, the illusion completely breaks. You start getting these chunky, blocky pixels, especially in the shadows. The colors look just a little bit washed out, and the whole screen feels slightly muddy. You realize that crisp native graphics just can't be beamed through the air perfectly yet. No matter what the marketing tells you, you're always going to have that annoying layer of video compression. It's totally playable, sure, but once you notice that fuzzy stream quality look, you literally cannot unsee it. You're trading true visual fidelity for convenience, and that's a tough pill to swallow. Number 3. Competitive shooters are dead to you. So maybe you have accepted that slight visual downgrade, but then you get this crazy idea that you're going to hop into a ranked match of Valorant or Counter-Strike 2. Let me save you the frustration right now. You're going to get absolutely destroyed. When you play a competitive shooter on a real PC, your mouse movement translates to the screen instantly. On the cloud, even the best connection in the world, there is always going to be a baseline delay. We are talking about maybe 20 or 30 milliseconds of delay. That doesn't sound like a lot on paper, but in game where hitting a flick shot comes down to literal fractions of a second, it is an absolute death sentence. You will spend your first week playing on the cloud just wondering why your aim is suddenly so garbage. You will tweak your sensitivity, you'll blame your mouse, think you just lost your touch, but then you realize the harsh truth. The input lag is physically sabotaging your muscle memory. You'll see the enemy, you click their head, but because of that tiny delay, they have already moved by the time your bullet actually registers on the server. You quickly realize that competitive shooters are pretty much dead to you now. If you want to actually climb the ranks, the cloud just isn't going to cut it. Number 4. The data cap reality. So, you originally look at the cloud gaming and thought you were making a genius financial move. You avoided spending $2,000 on a gaming PC and you're just paying a small monthly subscription instead. It feels like a massive win for your bank account until the first month rolls around. That's when you get a very fun email from your internet service provider letting you know that you have already used a terabyte of data in just a few days. Here is the thing most people don't realize, that cloud gaming eats through the data at an absolutely insane rate. When you download a massive game like Call of Duty on a regular PC, it might be a 150 gigabytes download one time. But when you are streaming a game in 4K or even 1440p, you are constantly pulling down a massive amount of video data every single second you play. If you play for a few hours a day, you can easily blow through hundreds of gigabytes in a single week. And if you live somewhere with totally unlimited internet, you're fine. But if your plan has a data cap, which a lot of them still do, you're going to hit it by the next Tuesday. You thought you were saving money, but now you're either getting your internet throttled or completely unplayable speeds, or you're paying crazy overage fees just to finish your game. Number 5. The queue time humiliation. So imagine this. You just had a massive day at work or school, you're completely drained, and all you want to do is sit down, boot up a game, and check out for a couple of hours. You open up your cloud gaming app, click play on your favorite game, and then you get hit with a loading screen. But it's not a regular loading screen. It's a message that says you're currently number 423 in the line. Yeah, welcome to the digital breadline. You quickly realize that you don't actually own a rig. You are literally just renting time on a server. And during peak hours, when everyone else also want to play, you have to wait in a virtual queue just to borrow a graphics card. It is one of the most frustrating feelings in modern gaming. You are sitting there watching in numbers slowly ticking down from 432 431, realizing you could have already played an entire match of something if you actually own the hardware on your desk. Sure, you can skip the line if you upgrade to the ultra expensive highest premium tier subscription, but wasn't the whole point of cloud gaming to save money? By the time you pay for the premium tier and unlimited internet, you could have just financed a real PC. It totally defeats the purpose. Number 6. You don't actually own anything. Now you finally get past the queue, your internet is behaving, and you're ready to play the game. And you're ready to play that game you just paid $60 for. You link your Steam account and you think, great, I own this game, I can play it whenever I want, right? No. You realize one of the most brutal truths about cloud gaming. You don't actually own your experience. You are entirely at the mercy of a massive corporate licensing agreement. Let's say you buy a game specifically to play on cloud. 6 months down the line, the publisher get into some petty argument with the cloud service provider about revenue cuts. The next day you woke up, log in, and the game is completely gone from the platform. It doesn't matter that you actually bought the game with your own hard-earned money. If the cloud service loses the legal rights to stream it, your purchase is basically useless, unless you go buy a real PC to run it locally. When you have the hardware sitting on your desk, you download the file and it is yours to play offline forever. But on the cloud, your entire library is just a fragile list of permissions that can be taken away at any second. You realize pretty fast that you have absolutely zero control over your own gaming collection. Number 7. Retreating to single player. So, after spending a week getting absolutely humiliated in multiplayer lobbies, you finally reach the bargaining stage of grief. You realize that playing fast-paced competitive shooters on the cloud is basically a form of self-sabotage. So, what do? You retreat. You start browsing through your library and suddenly, slow-paced RPGs start looking appealing. You boot up a single-player story game where missing a shot by half a second doesn't mean 12 years old is going to scream at you through the mic. When you're fighting AI enemies in a vast open world, that 20 millisecond input delay suddenly doesn't feel like the end of the world. A slight stutter in your connection just means you pause the game for a second, let the internet catch up, and then keep exploring. You don't lose rank, you don't drag down a team, you just mildly inconvenience yourself. Without even realizing it, you completely change your entire gaming identity. You accept your new fate as a casual story mode gamer. The cloud forces you into this little safe space where reaction time doesn't matter anymore. It is Honestly, a great way to experience beautiful narrative games. But deep down, only made the switch because the cloud literally wouldn't let you compete anywhere else. Number 8. The actual freedom. Despite all the lag, the annoying video compression, the strict data limits, and the random queue times, there is this one moment where it all finally clicks. And it usually happens when you least expect it. You're sitting in the back of a boring lecture, or you are stuck on a long trip, or maybe you're just chilling at a cafe. You pull out this absolute potato of a school laptop, the kind that normally struggle to even open a PDF, and you boot up your cloud service. Suddenly, you're playing a maxed out graphically intense AAA game right there in the middle of public. And honestly, in that specific moment, it feels like straight up magic. You realize that the tech, as flawed as it is actually pretty incredible when it finally works. You get this amazing taste of real freedom. You aren't tied down to a massive heavy metal box sitting on the decks in your bedroom. And you don't have to worry about your laptop overheating and sounding like a jet engine taking off. After all the compromises that you make, cloud gaming gives you the ability to take your entire gaming library literally anywhere with a decent Wi-Fi connection. It might not be perfect experience, but when you're sneaking in a quick gaming session on a $150 Chromebook, you really can't help but be impressed. So, is cloud gaming the future? Look, it's a great stepping stone, but let's be entirely real here. It's basically the gaming equivalent of taking the city bus. Sure, it gets you to your destination and it's cheap, but you are riding on someone else's schedule. You have to wait in the line, and it's definitely not a luxury ride. Don't try to trick yourself into thinking a cloud gaming subscription actually replaces raw native hardware performance. If you're just playing story games on a tight budget and you have amazing internet, it's a massive W. But if you actually want to get good, if you care about true virtual fidelity, or if you just want to play game without asking a server for permission, then you need a real PC. When you own the physical metal sitting on your desk, everything changes. You get zero input delay, no blurry video compression, and no waiting in digital line just to launch a game that you already bought. You actually own your experience, you control the hardware, you control the frames, and you don't need a NASA level internet connection just to walk forward. So yeah, cloud gaming is a cool backup plan, but having a real rig is always going to be the end game. So stop lying to yourself, start saving your money, and get some actual hardware. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.